Om Shanti. I'm happy to be here. This year has been a lot of travel between India and Madhuban and Delhi. And so first news of Brother Bridgemoon. Can you hear me at the back? Yeah? Okay. Bridgemoon Bhai is at home at the Om Shanti Retreat Center in Delhi, and he's doing better than he had been. But I think it's still a bit of a journey. So let's see what the drama holds and where his journey takes him. But it's been really lovely to be in close contact every time I've gone in and out of India. This time I won't be going to Delhi, I'll be going to Bombay. But it's been very, very beautiful to see how alert he is, how with it he is, how he's really, really thinking about the yajna and the sustenance of the yajna. And he manages to communicate the most important ideas. So that's India. As you know, it was 1 year since Nirvai Bhai Sahib passed away, and so they had a big service in Madhuban for him. I'm sure you also must have offered bhog for him here. He had won the hearts of so many souls across the world. I'm not seeing Meena Ben. Is she here? Meena Ben serves in the Global Hospital, and so she knew him very well. But anyway, she'll be meeting you in just a little while. And today is a little bit of a sandwich. I'm with you now, and then you'll hear Meena Ben, and at the moment now in English, and then Meena Ben in Hindi, and then I'll pick up in Hindi again after that. So we thought we'd give you a variety today. And the topic that everybody has been thinking about has been the topic that Baba has given us in the Avyakt signals. I'm sure all of you have been hearing or reading the Avyakt signals. Is that right? Yeah? And so you very well know what the topic for that is. Volcanic yoga. And I remember several years ago when Baba first used this term, volcanic yoga, I thought, my goodness, what is this? It sounds so complicated. And Baba's sweetness is that, yes, it is a topic that's very profound, but yet Baba makes it so simple. And Baba gave a very, very simple definition of volcanic yoga, saying, what does that mean? It simply means you and God and nothing in between. That is volcanic yoga. I remember when the Muralis had come some years ago with this term, many were asking this question, what is it? What is it? But now Baba has explained it in such simple language that I don't think anyone needs to ask this question anymore at all. Just me and God. Why that's volcanic is because just imagine this connection of the soul with the divine, the soul with the supreme, and Baba showers all his qualities into the child, but not even just into the soul, but all around everywhere, so that the world is able to experience the benefit of this. But the other aspect that I've been very struck by is Baba telling us that it's not just you and your personal yoga that's important. That's the foundation. Without that, you can't go any further anyway. But when all of you come together and there's that one thought of Baba, then the energy that's generated is truly volcanic. Then the energy of that peace and love and light reaches out across the world and is actually able to transform the world. I've always understood that my yoga is to be able to purify myself, and that's still true. But what Baba's been emphasizing is that when Brahmins together are able to create that stage of yoga in which we are all on that same wavelength, then the energy of that is such that it can truly transform the world completely. There were two examples that Baba gave recently that touched me deeply. One was that, yes, God is the purifier, but you want a new world for yourselves. God's not going to come to that new world. It's a new world for you. So if God were to just take a magic wand and transform the elements and create a pure world, what would we do there? We'd still carry our old sanskars and not be able to continue to sustain that world. And so what we have to do is change our sanskars with Baba's help, but as we change and we reach that level in which our yoga together collectively is powerful enough, then that is actually what transforms the entire planet, all the elements of the world, so that we are creating a new world for ourselves. If God alone does it, what would be our fortune within all of that? We've done nothing to deserve it. And so we have to do the work. And the work is not digging a hole or, anything physical. Yes, we use our physical senses and our resources to do Baba's work, but the real work is the inner work, taking God's light, taking God's love, and changing the quality of our sanskaras so that the original pure sanskaras emerge, and that's what we then use in our lives. And so when we have changed with yoga power, and our yoga power collectively is so powerful, then the elements of the world will also change. The other statement that Baba made was, do you not see how much suffering there is in the world today? And of course, when Baba spoke it in some really, how many years ago, I don't know. But today we are actually not just seeing the suffering and hearing the suffering on a subtle level. We're actually, through all the media, we're hearing it in a very physical way. We hear the cries of the people who are suffering, and whether they believe in God or don't believe in God, the amount of suffering that there is in the world today is absolutely at its peak. And so what Baba said was that if you create that powerful stage of yoga, then souls can be liberated from their suffering very quickly. How long do you want their suffering to continue? And so Baba's been putting the responsibility on all of us to be able to create that stage so that there is that transformation, not just of us, but of all the elements and the liberation of all souls very quickly. Baba's comment was, at the moment, at times the temperature is high, and then you all relax a little, and then the temperature goes down and things cool down temporarily. Then again they start. But this up and down story is directly connected to the fluctuation of the Brahmins. And if Brahmins can collectively reach that level of the power of yoga, then you would see transformation happen very quickly. You would then see, yes, the golden age come very fast. One other thing that's also become clear to me over the last little while, there's always been a question, as Kali Yuga finishes, then gradually there's a clean out of the planet, then gradually there's things settling down, and I realize it's not like that. Somebody had asked Dadi Gulzar in the 70s, when she was very accessible. In Madhuban we could meet her, when she came to London we could meet her personally. And then gradually, of course, her age and health and everything else, and it just wasn't so possible to meet in that way anymore. But early days, and one of the brothers, in fact, he's written a book called Flash Time, a big, big, thick book in which he's tried to get together a lot of scientific information about the cycle and so on. I asked him, why did you choose this title, Flash Time, for your book? And he said that when he'd asked Dadi Gulzar, how long would this transition take from the end of Kali Yuga to the beginning of Satyug, her answer had been, Chapti mein honga. It'll happen in a flash. And so that's what made him choose that title, Flash Time. And just recently, there was an Avyakt signal or one of those slogans or something, but within that it's directly from Baba's Murlis. And in that it said that when consciousness changes, then everything changes around you very quickly. So when our consciousness is steadily, not just sometimes, when we sit in yoga, we have a high consciousness. Then we get into our activity, and it doesn't go down like this, but it comes to a plateau. It's like ordinary. And then we are thinking about this thing, that thing, and the other thing. But if we can keep that highest stage of consciousness at all times, even when we are doing mundane things, is that possible? Who thinks it's possible? 1, 2, 3, 4. The hands are going up slowly, you're still thinking about it. But when your heart says, yes, I can do it, then yes, at that moment, keeping our consciousness high all the time, then yes, that change of consciousness, steady consciousness of a high level, then that's going to bring about a change in the whole environment and the world totally. And so Baba's waiting for us. And so all these points have been about collective yoga, collective yoga. I know that Brother Ramshlok is going to be coming to Leicester in the next little while. Tomorrow, the next day? Okay, Global Bhakti tomorrow. So it's interesting because when we spoke about his coming to London, I said, during the summer there's a lot of guests, a lot of visitors. Come when it's autumn, because then it's not cold, but also it's not too many guests. So then he said, okay, September. And neither of us knew that the topic of the month would be volcanic yoga. And so it's appropriate that he's coming, and his solo purpose is really just yoga, yoga, yoga. So I've been very struck by Baba's Murlis, but also by this. There's one other experience that touched me a lot that I want to share. Some time ago, I think some of you would have been in the teachers' meeting that we've been having over the months. It might be a few months ago. And we circulated one of Dadi Ratan Mohini's classes. Who remembers that class? It was on soul consciousness, basically. And Dadi Ratan Mohini has a special connection with Leicester because she was one of the founders of the Leicester Centre, and she inaugurated this house, so there's a very deep bond. So Dadi Ratan Mohini in her class said something that I had to stop in my track and really digest it. Because she said that when you're thinking, I'm a soul, that's still body consciousness. So, what did she mean? And when you start experimenting with it, you realize that, yes, of course, when I'm thinking, I'm still using my brain. And that's still very much part of the body. I have to go beyond just thinking and using my brain to the actual experience and feeling of the soul. And so yes, first step, I come back here and I have to use that understanding. I have to remind myself I'm a soul. But of course, the more I stay in that awareness, it's not so much that I have to remind myself and pull myself up, but I'm more and more in that stage. But that first step in which I'm thinking, yes, I'm a soul, then I go deeper and deeper into that. We asked Daddy Jayanti at one point, how deep? And she says, go deeper. And when you think you can't go any deeper, go deeper. And really go deep within, and you'll come to that state of silence. And then you're not thinking anymore. You're actually in that experience of being the soul. And then at that time, you don't think, oh, I'm a soul. You are a soul. And that's it. This is who you are. You feel it, you experience it. And in that awareness, then, Baba can be very close to you, and you're able to take whatever it is that Baba wishes to give you, because you're on that same wavelength. And so, experiment with that. Sometimes we get experiences with God's help, just like that, without making too much effort. But that happens sometimes. But if I want it to be a stage that I can automatically access whenever I want, then I have to understand the mechanism. And then this, I've discovered, is really the key. Not to be thinking. Thinking is the first step, yes. But then just be in that awareness of the depth of silence within, and then you are a soul, and you are shining that light. So experiment with that, not just when you're sitting in yoga, but through the rest of the day when the brain isn't being occupied with certain things. I can imagine that when you're doing computer work, when you're doing other things that need total focus and concentration, then yes, that's different. But there are so many other things that we do through the day which don't take that sort of intense concentration. When you're driving, when you're eating, when you're walking, even when you're talking. You can talk in a higher consciousness, or you can talk in a mundane consciousness. But if you pay attention, this is what the Dadis did. They just simply paid attention to what was going on in here. Firstly, to keep all the thoughts free from negativity and waste and mundane. So the thoughts were based on Baba's truth, Baba's knowledge. And then beyond that, the silence. So these are some of the things that I've been benefiting from in the last little while. But especially Daddy Ratan Moini's comment about thinking is not being. And it was very interesting that a few weeks after that, there was a beautiful Murali in which Baba spoke about being the embodiment of thinking or being the embodiment of experience. And so we think a lot, but we don't give ourselves the space, the silence, the time in which to actually go into the depth and be in that experience. And so we've got all the tools, and we recognize how valuable they are, but we don't use them sufficiently. That's my conclusion. And so what we really have to do is 3 things. Practice, practice, and practice. Really. These are the 3 things we need to keep doing. It really is the reality that, if today my sanskars still haven't changed, it's because, yes, I'm following Baba's directions, but my quality of yoga hasn't come to that stage where it's truly the fire of yoga. the volcanic yoga. And whether anybody complains about me or doesn't, I know about myself. And I know to what extent I have changed or I haven't changed. And so when I see that there hasn't been the change that I really want to have, then the question, why not? And Baba's answer always is yoga, yoga. And so, yes, I've been following the timetable, but the quality of yoga. And when Baba says, are you able to switch your consciousness from here to there in a second? Yes, we can do that. But how long do we hold on to that? Just a few moments, a few minutes? Or am I able to keep it steady for a period of time? And so to explore all these things that Baba's telling us to experiment with them, is so important for our own progress, but also through that, the service that we do. Because service is, Baba's been emphasizing, not just through words. It has to be through our vibrations, and the vibrations depend on the quality of our sanskars. Dadi Kumarka, whatever she was doing didn't matter, but you could just feel the love with which she was doing it, and you could also sense that her mind was working on a different level to yours and mine, all of us. And so she achieved her Karmatit stage many years ago. Baba, Mama, of course, but many of you knew Dadi Kumarka quite well. I would reckon half of you knew. Who knew Dadi Kumarka very well? A good number. So you saw her closely when it was still a little family. And so people like Dadi Kumarka, people like Dadi Janki, they didn't see things the way we see them. They saw things differently. They would look at things with this eye, not just these two eyes. And so their take on anything would be very different because they were looking from here and not from here. So what must we do? We have their example, we know how to do it, so we just have to practice it. And let me introduce you to Sister Meena. She came to Global Hospital in 1991. So those of you who know will remember that that was when it started. So Nirvay Bhai found her in Ahmedabad. She's been with Baba much earlier than that, because her parents are also in Gyan, but it was Nirvay Bhai who then said, absolute directions, come to the hospital. And she's going to share with you now in Hindi.